I'm Clay Bush. I have a business called Salvage, Salvage Goods, and it consists of messenger bags, backpacks, purses, wallets, computer bags, all types of things that are made out of seatbelts from old cars. When I first started making the bags, it was just friends, you know, I make them for friends and family here and there, and then once I started actually doing it for my main source of income, I started doing art shows, different art shows, regional, everywhere from, you know, Middle Tennessee. Then I started branching out into, you know, Atlanta area and Indianapolis, then to Chicago, and been to Virginia Beach and Southern Florida. So lots of different places like that. I was at a junkyard, saw the seatbelts, put all my other experiences together with that and started pulling them out and washing them and then sewing them together, and one thing led to another, and I started making bags. And the word salvage is not only for the materials, but it's also for, it goes into a metaphor for a lot of other things. You know, we have our society, there's a lot of discards and throwaways, and you know, we don't tend to repair things or replace things or reuse stuff. So I like the idea of, you know, reusing, repurposing, and taking something old and transforming it and transcending it from its old use into something new. And I find success when people don't recognize what it is, when they have to stop and look, and then they might see the Cadillac emblem, and then they start thinking a little, and they're like, oh, is this the upholstery? And I say, no, it's not. And then they're like, oh, the strap's a seatbelt. And I said, what else? And then they look at it closer and they realize the whole bag is made out of seatbelts. And also the inside of the bags is airbag. Airbag is a great material because it has a silicone lining, which is waterproof. So the interior pockets are waterproof. Another aspect of my product that I really appreciate and like is the diversity of my buyers. They're everywhere from successful businessmen and women to, you know, I've even had like high school kids that have saved their money to buy one to go off to college with. I've also had, you know, some really trendy kids that, you know, hang out at the coffee shop all day, they get one. And so it's really, I enjoy the diversity of my customers, as opposed to branding for a specific group of people and only focusing on those types of people that want to buy this product to, you know, reflect this culture or ideal that they want to be. Weave structures and color varieties, there can be a slight difference between a gray and a silver. And I have to roll the seatbelts back up into those specific cars that they came out of. So when I'm laying out actually the pattern of the bag and the way I want it to look, I don't have to dig through a pile of seatbelts and try to find the matching color. So after washing them, they all have to be organized and rolled up. And so then I have like basically the full spectrum of seatbelts on hand to pull out and design. So because of the variety of colors that go back to the blues and reds and everything from the 80s, I get a lot of people ask if I buy the material new or if I dye it. And there are other seatbelt bags that are not necessarily seatbelts because they were never in cars. I would consider them nylon webbing because I know what a seatbelt actually is and what it takes to get one. So in the bags, I try to put a label that comes on the end of the seatbelt that actually shows, it'll say child seat directions, or it'll have the date and manufacturer of the seatbelt itself. And I'll try to put those on the inside of the bag or in a hidden spot so that someone opens the bag up, they can actually see that they are real seatbelts as opposed to material that was bought new. I do believe in you know, conscious consumption of whatever we buy and purchase, that, you know, we should try to reflect, you know, our values of where that comes from, what it took to make it, and who you're supporting when you buy that. When kids come up to the bags and I get to ask them, you know, if they recognize the buckle, and most of them think they're airplane buckles because they're metal, and then I get the opportunity to say, well, when I was a kid, they used to be metal buckles, and they get really hot in the summertime and they burn your leg, and we'd hide them in the seat and tell our parents we couldn't find them, and they'd stay there for like 30 years until I find them at the junkyard. When I first started acquiring the seatbelt, I had to talk to the junkyard and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, is it okay? And they looked at me sounded strange. They're like, yeah, whatever. It's like, can I fill this bag up? I'll give you this much money for it. And they're like, whatever. So like 8 hours later, I come back and I've got like 100 pounds of seatbelts, and they thought I was hiding a part that seemed more valuable to them. I was hiding it with seatbelts, but they realized then I was just getting seatbelts. And now we have a really good relationship, and they expect to see me, and they know who I am, and so it's pretty fun. They always get a kick out of it. When I started doing this, I wasn't really aware that I was getting into fashion, but after I started doing it some, I was like, wow, I'm in the fashion industry, and there's a little bit of stuff in the fashion industry that I sort of, you know, cringe from. And so it's really great now to see that it sort of goes beyond that. It's more about what somebody wants as opposed to what they want other people to think they want.